Welcome back to the news at 10. As relative peace gradually returns to ravaged communities in the northeast, internally displaced persons in Yobe State seem set to return home. The IDPs who were forced to flee their homes after attacks by insurgents have expressed concern, however, over the level of security being provided by state and federal authorities. Our next report takes a look at the situation in the camps in Yobe.
They are scattered over major towns of the state, having left their various communities previously for fear of possible attack. While some are taking refuge with their friends or relatives, others are in the government-established camps, even as others have damned the consequences to return to their ancestral homes. And the era of distributing food to the internally displaced persons in various camps seems to be ebbing, as the number of displaced persons seems to be decreasing on a daily basis. Apparently fed up with life outside their homes, these displaced persons have continued to grumble, yearning to return home as peace seems to be on the horizon after years of senseless havoc caused to human life and property.
It is due to this lack of school and lack of availability of water resources before. That is why the people, they didn't come back on time. But now when they see everything is available, definitely I know they will come back.
The Yobe State Attorney General and Commissioner of Justice Ahmed Guniri, whose community was overrun by the insurgents and recaptured recently by security forces, gave reasons for the internally displaced persons' quest to return home.
Since the insurgents about 2-3 years now, not only were they not able to farm, but there's nothing else for them to do as a business. They're farmers. They don't know any other work other than farming. So that is why our people are so desperate to go back to their normal life.
But as the displaced persons seek to return, it was discovered that most of the facilities such as roads, water supply, schools and hospitals have been vandalized by the insurgents. A situation that needs major repair before habitation and returning to their communities. The most prioritized need is water supply. The Yobe State government has deployed a team of water engineers to ensure that 12 communities in Gujba and Gulani Council areas have potable water. The team is led by the General Manager of Rural Water and Sanitation Agency, Mohammed Bukar.
You can see we have just replaced a brand new engine of 30 kVA and also developed the borehole and installed a new pump and welded the overhead tank that was earlier damaged by the insurgents. And you can see the battery of taps here. Kataroko is one of those villages that has a sizable population, and earlier before now we have reticulated the village, so now water is now reaching all the points in the village.
One area that deserves urgent attention is the opening of the hitherto busy Damaturu-Biu Road, which has been closed by the military for fear of possible attacks on the highway. The chairman of Gujba local government area, Kiyari Batarama, is of the opinion that unless the road is open for free movement of goods and services, residents will hardly come back or work freely for the full restoration of peace in the area.
There are no existing facilities now. There are no water facilities. There are no schools in that area. For the last 2 years, our children are not going to school because of that attack by the insurgency. And you can see even lights at the streets were not there. So our call now on the federal government and the state government and all those who are concerned is to urgently come to the aid of this community so that people should go back. The other point is we want to call the military authorities as quickly as possible to open Damaturu-Biu Road, because unless people are moving freely, we cannot satisfy this community.
Credit must be given to the combined efforts of the security forces, which is yielding the desired peace. The already returned and returning communities must work in synergy with the security agencies to ensure that the peace that has been restored is maintained.
convener of the Save Nigeria group and founder of the Lateran Assembly, Pastor Tunde Bakare, has advised the federal government to prioritize the rescue of over 200 schoolgirls abducted from Chibok, Borno State, by the Boko Haram sect. Pastor Bakare gave the advice at a special prayer session organized by the Bring Back Our Girls campaigners to mark the second anniversary of the girls. He notes there should be better efforts made to rescue them. Our correspondent, Amaka Okafo, reports.
727 days since the abduction of over 200 girls from government secondary school in Chibok, Borno State, by the Islamic militants Boko Haram, and more than 712 days later, the Bring Back Our Girls campaigners have continued to call for the rescue of the girls. As part of events to mark the 2-year anniversary of the abduction of the girls, the group has put together a global week of action to draw attention to the plight of the girls. One of such events is a Christian prayer session for the girls, which had in attendance people from different faith and creed.
Lord, we ask for strength and grace to continue.
The guest speaker and convener of the Save Nigeria group, Pastor Tunde Bakare, reminded the government that the rescue of the girls should remain a top priority on its agenda.
We understand that there is much pressure on the new government. However, in the midst of the numerous national challenges on its table, we appeal to him not to consider the plight of our daughters, secondary or tertiary, on the scale of national challenges, because our daughters have become the symbols of the soul of our nation. A nation where over 200 teenage female secondary school students can be so easily carted away by terrorists without a trace for 712 days of their current whereabouts is a nation in dire need of soul searching.
A co-convener of the group, Aisha Yusuf, who says the prayer session is an indication that a united Nigeria will not only lead to the rescue of the girls, but a total defeat of Boko Haram, restates the demands of the group.
In 4 days' time, it will be a whole 2 years that the girls have been abducted, and we decided to do a global week of action to remind Nigerians, to remind the Nigerian government, and indeed remind the world and the world leaders that 219 girls are missing. And as long as 219 girls are missing, humanity is missing. As long as they are in captivity, humanity is in captivity.
The event attracted other participants, including lawmakers, one of who says he will remind his colleagues on the need to prioritize the return of the girls.
2 years is, an unbelievable period of time to say these girls are outside. And we need to remind ourselves as a people, as a government, and as a legislator that we must intensify effort and prioritize the issues of this girl.
It's less than 3 days to the second-year anniversary of the abduction of the schoolgirls in Chibok, Borno State. The Bring Back Our Girls campaigners are not losing hope. They, however, want government to match words with action to ensure the rescue of the girls. Amaka Okafo, Channels Television News.
Africa's sometimes controversial relationship with the International Criminal Court was focus of an international symposium in Cape Town, South Africa. Issues of immunity, the role of civil society groups, and complications added by the global war on terror were some of the perspectives through which the issues were discussed. This was done under the umbrella of the Africa Group for Justice and Accountability, which met at the University of Cape Town in South Africa. Johannesburg Bureau Chief Betty Dibia reports.
The focus was keeping African states engaged with the International Criminal Court. As expected, the debate was vibrant.
The Security Council should have nothing to do now because of the hypocrisy. Some of the members have contempt for the ICC by refusing to ratify the Rome Statute. How can you then gather in America and say, oh, go and arrest Gaddafi or go and arrest that one when you do not believe in the Rome Statute?
What has changed is that there are now 124 member states. What has changed is that some African states have actively used the ICC in their own interests, referring their own countries to the ICC.
We should celebrate the progress made, but in celebrating the progress made, never forget and sit back to understand that there is a shrinking space for human rights today, either because of the war against terror or because of many, many other reasons.
The debate is a never-ending one and especially made complicated by the African Union's agreement not to cooperate with the court. Many of these African states are signatories to the Rome Statute, but some claim there is an uncomfortable focus on African leaders.
There's going to be an African push for an African court as being an African solution to African problems. We've seen that push already. African solutions to African problems. It's a solution, immunity, for an African problem, a problem felt by leaders, African leaders. It's not a solution dreamt up or progressed by African victims of these crimes. It is a solution that is pushed hard through the AU and through its lawyers. It's a solution for elites.
The case of South Africa and the Sudanese president, the Kenyan leaders and post-election violence are still throwing up issues that still need to be thrashed out and probably imbibed.
The issue of the relationship between Africa and the International Criminal Court has generated a lot of controversy because there has been a feeling that the International Criminal Court is basically an anti-African court, and that has created a bit of resentment with African governments. And so it's important to try and clarify what exactly the role of the court is and how it's functioning in Africa.
What we are taking home from this conference is to mobilize the Nigerian people, particularly victims of crimes against humanity, to appreciate that there is a forum that can be approached for justice.
The African Group for Justice and Accountability was established late last year to support efforts to strengthen justice and accountability on the continent. From Cape Town, South Africa, Betty Dibia, Channels Television News.
Still ahead on the news at 10, Yobe thrashed Tunisian side Etoile du Sahel 3-0 in the first leg of the CAF Champions League. Get more in sports news. We'll return. Please stay with us.